two co-founders of BitMEX, Ben Dilo and Sam Reed. We decided to build a Bitcoin derivatives platform called BitMEX. Our claim to fame is the invention of the perpetual swap, which is the most traded crypto financial product ever. Every single exchange has it. I'm sure many of you listeners have traded these things. And yeah, that was what, almost a little over 10 years ago. So I've been in the game for a while and I love this industry. And yeah, this is great.
So, with your macro background, banking background, did you understand Bitcoin immediately or did it take you a while?
I was this bit of a gold bug. So I was, 2011, 12 when gold was ripping. I was buying my little gold coins and storing them in the bank vault. And, I thought the Fed was a complete crock of shit and all these central banks and money printing and all this sort of stuff. So I think I was philosophically aligned. I didn't know about Bitcoin at the time. I wish I had. But when I read the white paper, I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. I understand why we need this as human civilization, and sort of thought, oh, this is great. I found this early enough where I could actually build a business like BitMEX and have some very great outsized financial success. And so instead of allowing the system to self-correct and expunge a lot of credit, people go bankrupt, people lose their jobs, what have you, the authorities around the world say, okay, that's politically unpalatable, so we're just going to print the money and make sure that on a nominal basis, if you lent a dollar, a euro, a yuan, a yen, you're going to get back that same unit. Okay, but the real value of that unit, whether you look at it versus gold, versus oil, versus Bitcoin, that is going to decline.
Is there an edge that nobody's seeing? Because I look on crypto Twitter and people are talking about liquidity. This is the fourth year of the 4-year cycle. It's like, what are people missing, or do we just have it?
I mean, number one, I don't subscribe to a 4-year cycle. I don't think, yes, it has worked in the past. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll work in the future. So I think, that's just my personal view. What are people missing? I don't think people are missing a lot. I think people just they want the end game to happen in 1 minute, right? Oh, I put this trade on, I use a lot of leverage. Oh yeah, I do believe in the fundamental thesis of money printing. They're just gonna keep printing the money. But okay, can they just do this like immediately? Let's not wait 10 years. Like arm for okay, shit's about to happen. I better, that doesn't necessarily mean Bitcoin's gonna go up immediately, but I do know that when something happens that's bad for bonds, at least the US Treasury market, there will be some way that they print money, and Bitcoin will outperform subsequent to that action.
So there's a lack of liquidity in the bond market. We're seeing people scared out there for bonds. Will they call it QE, or will they just find some way to prop it up themselves?
Maybe they'll call it QE, maybe they'll call it something else. I think QE is basically being conflated with inflation, which it is. People don't like inflation for obvious reasons. When you have inflation and you are a democratically elected leader, you get voted out of office. When you have inflation and you're an autocrat, there's a revolution. And so regardless of what type of political system you have, you don't want widespread inflation. And so if the public perceives quantitative easing as money printing, and that is the policy of the central bank, then they go, oh, these guys are just printing money as inflation, therefore they're the bad guys, right? So then they call it something else. They obfuscate and so all these sort of academic jargon so that you don't understand what they're actually doing. But at the end of the day, it's money printing and it will be inflationary. Because obviously it hasn't, given all the activity on sort of Arbitrum and, optimism and these other layer two. So if that's your thesis, we can look in the history and see that it kind of hasn't really been the price driver of ETH. I mean, honestly, I don't know what the narrative is going to be. Price creates the narrative. So if the price is going up, then all of a sudden, oh my God, ETH is so secure. Oh my God, there's so many developers in ETH. Oh my God, they've created all these really cool DeFi applications. Oh my God, there's all this art on ETH. And so it's a secondary effect of the price going up. You justify it with all these other things.
Arthur, degen with me a little bit here. Next question is, if you had to pick in 2025, XRP or Cardano?
Ooh, I'd probably pick XRP. I think that Garlinghouse is a lot more political gravitas than Hoskinson, Cardano.
So you think he's in the trenches, in the White House trenches, and he's got the... You say yes?
Yeah, he's got more juice than Cardano. No, they're both piece of dog shit, but like if I'm gonna pick one, it's Ripple.
Got you. And Cardano has a lot of competition in the L1 space. XRP, they're stellar, but
everything in our corn portfolio pre-inauguration, January 20th of Donald Trump in the United States. That's what decided, when April 2nd to 9th happened, and global markets shit the bed. And then all of a sudden there was the tariff pivot, and then Bessent coming out saying he's going to do treasury buybacks. So like, okay, well, now it's risk on. Now let's go back into the alts that I think are quality and buy more Bitcoin. So there wasn't really a specific price target. I don't like to use price targets or specific time frames, because when you put these binary, those specific events on a chart, the market's going to abuse you at that point.
But if the specific event you're talking about is when they're risk on, that's when you'll maybe do an action, and when they're risk off. So there's no timeline for it, but you're just watching and waiting to see when the shifts happen.
Correct. Got
you. Arthur, advice for any new crypto investor out there besides watch the liquidity.
Be patient. There's no easy button. The best traders in the world, didn't make all their money on their first trade. So don't try to do that either, because you're just going to blow up.
For Bitcoin, and let's have a little fun here. Think, 50 years down the line, be people in the light and people in the shadows, at least for the regulatory aspect of it. Now, Justin is with World Liberty Fi. The Trumps love him. So I'm not saying Tron specifically, but I guess what are the implications that the US is finally regulating crypto payments?
Doesn't mean anything, because in the US, people have Venmo, Cash App, bank transfer. Like, people in the US earn dollars. They have dollar bank accounts. You can get a dollar bank account. It might be not as easy as you like, but pretty much anyone who wants one can get a US dollar bank account. So if I give you a stable coin that's a little bit faster, marginally cheaper, are you going to use it? Maybe, maybe not. It's not a 10x better product. So, okay, yeah, there's going to be a lot of VCs pouring money into all these stablecoin startups because there's a new bill and there's, clarity and whatnot, but they're not going to make any money. And okay, the US consumer gets a marginally better product for a marginally better price. Okay, fine, cool, whatever. Does that affect the rest of the world? Tether will be laughing. Oh, great. You guys can go spunk $100 billion on building all these dumb fintech startups that are competing with a product that's marginally better. I'm going to continue offering.
In 5 years, what had happened? What had gone wrong?
I wouldn't say anything gone wrong, because you could say the same thing. Bitcoin was at 15,000 in 2022 and it had topped 20,000 in 2017, right? A 5-year time span is lower than the previous all-time high. Does that mean that something went wrong? No, that's just a market cycle. So I wouldn't say there was anything right or wrong. It's just the market cycle.
Then what could go wrong that Bitcoin doesn't work? Because I honestly do get this question to my normie friends at parties. They start watching.
When you say what it doesn't work, does it mean I didn't make 5 times my money and get a Lambo? That doesn't work? Or
no.
It means like the transactions failed and all of a sudden immutability of the blockchain, that happened and Bitcoin didn't work.
It means it went to zero, not relevant. It's a product of the 2010s. In 2020s.
Okay, then there's some sort of technological flaw in this Byzantine fault tolerance system, right? In the proof of work system. That is what goes wrong.
And I would say, because
like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and enabling post notifications for more content on crypto and digital assets. Check out our other videos and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps with the YouTube algorithm and keeps the content coming. Thanks for your support,